Hello, this is Stefan from Yap Tuning in Sweden. Don't miss out to follow our Yap Tuning YouTube channel for nice projects and lots of information. In front of you, you can see my R32 GTR that is fully refurbished. I bought this car many years ago. It was in really bad condition with the clear coat falling off. It had a bad motor. The rod bearings were dead. The interior was horrible. And I renovated it. We took the doors off, the fenders were off, all the windows were out, the body was painted, and I built a new motor for it. Now last year I sold that engine though, fully functioning, but I sold it to a guy from Åland towards Sweden and Finland, and he needed a motor quite fast, so that's the history of this. This car will get a new, fresh built engine again, and it will be up and running soon again, I believe. What else? Well, we have this 300ZX, which is also my personal car. This car is a 1990 model, twin turbo. In Europe, they were only sold as the 2+2, so there is a rear seat as well, which is really nice. I can drive it with my family. It used to have an engine, obviously, but it started to go quite badly and misfiring, so I took it into the workshop, took a leak down test, and it had like some 90% leakage on a cylinder. So there is nothing else to do than to pull out the engine. The engine is actually in a stand. I haven't looked further on it because I happen to have some more of those VG30s. So what I'm doing right now is that we are building a 3.2 liter VG30, and this motor has been bored out to a huge 90 millimeters and is getting put together with the custom CP pistons, 90 millimeter pistons that you can see here. Obviously a new oil pump. The crankshaft has been balanced, and the red thing here is some assembly lube because we had this motor put it together, took it apart again, measuring, clearance, all of that. So what I'm going to tell you as well is that those counterweights that you can see here on the VG30, they are bolted, which is, kind of strange. I haven't really seen that before. But okay, the problem is though that there is some cases where those bolts has come loose, and obviously if that happens, the counterweight will fall off and there will be a big hole in the block. So that's not the way to go. What we did was that we welded those bolts onto there so they cannot fall off. And that'll do, I believe. This engine is put together with, as I mentioned, CP pistons, forged pistons with eagle rods, and some ACL race bearings. That's what we typically use. There are some more nice bits for this motor over here actually. Here's the cylinder heads. They are they have been at the machine shop sorry, and they have been taken up to a good 90 millimeters here because these engines are 87 millimeters in the stock version. So it's been grinded here. The center part around the spark plug has also been grinded off so that we can use like standard spark plugs. What you see here is a VG30 spark plug. From the thread, it has this additional, like extra 7-8 millimeters of material, which a normal spark plug today does not have. So a normal, like what I call a normal spark plug, it looks like this. So if you put this one in, basically it will not come all the way out here, because on the standard one there's this it's forged out here. So we grinded that off so that we can use like standard BCPR 7ES plugs. And it also, the cylinder heads also had some valve jobs done to it and some new seals and stuff. Nothing fancy really, but it will definitely do. It will be put together with a Cometic multi-layer steel gasket and ARP bolts. So, but yeah, you can follow us on this YouTube channel for more information about this build and how it will go with the Red 300ZX there. I think it will be a really nice motor to drive. Obviously it will be assembled with some bigger turbos as well. I will actually use some HKS turbos on it. I can show you over here is an old, right, really vintage style turbos, the HKS turbos. They come off an engine that I bought as well. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys will run. I think they will spool up pretty good. Okay, so the crankshaft has been cleaned and is now ready for being assembled into the engine block. This crank has previously been balanced and is polished, is measured up and all good. Okay, so I put some assembly lube on the bearings and now comes the crankshaft. Okay, so the crankshaft is in. It has been torqued down to 95 Newton meters, and you can, with experience, you'll also feel that the force that is required to turn the crank is good. We have measured the clearances. It's about 0.05 millimeters. But as a rule of thumb, you should be able to accelerate the crank and let go, and it should, you know, not stop completely. You should never use a wrench or anything to be able to move it. In case of that, something is definitely wrong. So it feels good. The measurements are measured and it is good. Next thing up is the oil pump. It is now primed with oil. That's what we typically always do. We put in some oil into the entrance of the oil pump and we turn it so that it will kind of prime the gears with oil. So continuing with the bottom end, it is now put together with the pistons in place. Oil pump is on there, and now we have cleaned the surfaces. There's a little knock sensor here. This is basically a microphone that detects knock and registers a signal into the ECU. Not everyone uses them, but yeah, I will put it on there. Cylinder heads, here they are. I did mention that we have taken off this forged kind of going up mountain that is originally there, because the spark plugs originally looks like this. So there is a bit of a distance here. Now this cylinder head has been modified so that we can run like ordinary BCP or the BCP R7ES plugs, that type of plug. So that's nice. The cylinder heads has been shaved off. They have, the valve seats has been grinded and the valves has been renovated. So this is now being put together with some new ARP bolts, and this is the instruction for that. The ARP bolts has this grease that we have put it on to them. So there's grease between the washer and the nut, and that is for the friction and anti-corrosion. So that's according to the instruction. We usually do it that way. So next step is the head gaskets, and they are laying here. So the head gaskets in this case 91 millimeters, really big bore for the 3.2 liter VG30DETT. Usually we are prepping these up a bit. I usually spray them with a copper spray to make it 100% sure that they're sealing very good. If there should be any kind of not 100% smooth area, then that copper gasket is taking it up. So in this case, we can see that this cylinder head here has been detonating in the past. There is detonation marks here. Now the ring will actually come, you know, on this side of the detonation marks, and this is not, you know, the roller nut is not going under just because there's a few detonation marks here, so it should be fine. But still, if there should be any kind of some little mini scratch or something, it feels good to have that extra safety with the copper gasket on there, even though Cometic actually writes that, you know, they should be mounted dry without anything. My experience is that it works very well with the copper gasket, so we will use that on this build.